Consider a superpower so foreign to modern life that it sounds like science fiction. Your great-grandfather could walk out his front door, get in his car, drive to another state, rent a room with cash, and live there for a month, and not a single person, not a single corporation, not a single government agency on earth would have any idea where he was. He could vanish completely. He had the power to disappear, and it wasn't a crime. It was just called living in a free country. Real freedom isn't just the right to vote every 4 years. Real freedom is the right to anonymity, the right to be left alone, the right to move through the world, spend your own money, and yes, make your own mistakes without leaving behind a permanent, searchable, never-expiring digital record of every single move you made. Today, we've been sold a story. We're told that smartphones, smart speakers, and cameras on every corner are conveniences, that they're about safety, that the surveillance apparatus surrounding every moment of your daily life is there to protect you. That is the greatest deal with the devil in American history. Today, we're breaking down 15 specific freedoms that Americans have lost. We're going to show you exactly how the system dismantled your right to disappear and turned every one of our lives into an open book for data brokers, insurance actuaries, and federal agencies. Subscribe to the channel. This investigation starts now. Number 15. The end of anonymous travel. Before the early 2000s, you could walk up to an airport ticket counter or a Greyhound window with a handful of cash and buy a ticket. The name you gave didn't need to match anything in a government database. Nobody checked. Nobody cared. The freedom to move from one place to another was understood to be exactly what it always had been in America, a fundamental, inalienable right that required no permission and left no paper trail. Today, airports function less like transportation hubs and more like federal checkpoints. The TSA scans your government-issued ID. More airports every month are now running mandatory facial recognition at the gate. Your face scanned and matched against a federal database before you're allowed to board a plane you paid for with your own money. Your right to fly is contingent on your name not appearing on a no-fly list that you have no efficient mechanism to challenge or even fully see. Every flight you take is logged. The government knows the day you left your city and the day you came back. Number 14. The trackable road. The American highway was once the purest symbol of this country's soul. You threw a paper road map in the glove box, filled the tank with cash, pointed the hood toward the horizon, and drove. The road didn't know your name. The asphalt didn't care where you were going. Your route existed only between you and the white lines. That America is gone. Today, automated license plate readers, ALPRs, are mounted on traffic lights, on police cruisers, on highway overpasses, scanning and logging your plate every single time you pass, building a permanent geographic record of your movements across days, weeks, and years. E-Day Pass and toll systems have linked your vehicle directly to your bank account, creating a time-stamped record of every bridge and highway you've used. Modern vehicles, your Ford, your Chevy, your Dodge, are loaded with telematic systems that continuously transmit your speed, your location, your braking patterns, and even the weight distribution of your passengers to data brokers and insurance companies. Your car used to be freedom on 4 wheels. Now, it's a surveillance device that you make monthly payments on. Number 13. The death of the clean slate. The clean slate is one of the oldest and most distinctly American ideas in our national character. If you went broke, if you made a terrible mistake, if you burned every bridge in your hometown, you could pack a bag and head west. New town, new name, new start. Nobody knew you. Nobody could find you. The past stayed where you left it. That promise is dead. Today, your credit history, your arrest record, even arrests that never led to convictions. Your evictions, your civil judgments, and your most embarrassing public moments are all compiled into a digital dossier that follows you everywhere. You apply to rent an apartment 2,000 miles from where you grew up. The landlord runs a background check. In 30 seconds, he's looking at a detailed account of every financial stumble and legal entanglement you've had in the past decade and a half. You cannot outrun your past anymore. It travels with you, invisible and permanent, like a chain bolted to your ankle. Number 12. Defense warrants and the end of anonymous assembly. In an older America, attending a political rally, a union meeting, a protest, or even a church social was a private act. Unless law enforcement physically placed you under arrest, your presence at a gathering was your own business. The First Amendment didn't just protect your right to assemble. It implicitly protected your right to do so without the government keeping a list of everyone who showed up. Today, that protection has been quietly gutted by a legal instrument most Americans have never heard of: the geofence warrant. Law enforcement agencies, local police departments, the FBI, submit a request to Google or Apple. Give us the device data for every phone that was within 2 city blocks of this location between noon and 2 in the afternoon. The tech companies comply. The government receives a list of every person who was standing in that crowd. Your phone, sitting in your pocket, is silently reporting your physical associations to any government agency that knows how to ask for the data. What we've covered so far is the surveillance of your body, where it goes, what roads it travels, which crowds it joins. But what the system has done to your money and your labor is, if anything, even more complete, because when they control your financial life, they control everything. Number 11. The war on cash. Cash is not just paper. It's not just convenience. Cash is the last technology of genuine financial freedom that ordinary people still have access to. That is precisely why the system is at war with it. We are being systematically herded toward cashless transactions. Banks and data brokers algorithmically analyze your spending to determine how much you drink, what political books you buy, which restaurants you visit. The founders understood that financial privacy and political freedom are inseparable. The war on cash is a war on the last wall between your private life and total institutional control. Number 10. The SSN creep. When the Social Security number was introduced in the 1930s, the government made Americans a specific, explicit promise. This number is for pension tracking only. The original Social Security cards were literally printed with the words, "Not for identification purposes." Today, your SSN is the universal barcode of American citizenship. You cannot connect utilities to your home, open a bank account, buy a cell phone, rent an apartment, apply for a job, or enroll your child in school without surrendering those 9 digits to a clerk you've never met before and will never see again. The government promised a pension tracking tool. They built a universal citizen identifier that makes the complete surveillance of a person's economic and civic life not just possible, but routine. That wasn't mission creep. That was the mission. Number 9. Tracked consumption. You used to buy a newspaper from a metal box on the corner. Nobody knew which articles you read, which columns you lingered over, which stories you clipped out. Your intellectual life, the books that moved you, the ideas you wrestled with, the things you were privately curious about, belonged entirely to you. That privacy no longer exists. Amazon Kindle tracks not just which book you're reading, but which page you stopped on, which passages you highlighted, and how fast you read. The algorithms that emerge from this surveillance know your emotional vulnerabilities better than your spouse does, and that knowledge is packaged and sold to advertisers, to insurers, to political campaigns so that the right message can be delivered to the right psychological pressure point at the right moment to make you do what they want. Your mind used to be yours. They found a way to monetize the interior of it. Number 8. The end of off-the-books labor. In the old informal economy, a man could pay his neighbor $50 cash to help him re-roof the garage. A college kid could spend the summer painting houses and pocketing envelopes. A woman could babysit 3 kids on the block and build up a small cushion without filing a single form. This was the invisible microeconomy of mutual aid, the way ordinary people helped each other survive without needing a corporation or a bureaucracy in the middle of every transaction. The gig economy killed it. Platforms like Uber, TaskRabbit, DoorDash, and their dozens of competitors took the same informal human exchange, neighbor helping neighbor, skill meeting need, and ran it through a corporate server. Every dollar earned is instantly logged, tied to your Social Security number, and reported to the IRS before you've even finished the job. The 1099K reporting threshold has been pushed lower and lower, capturing transactions that were never meant to be reported. The system reached into the smallest cracks of human community, the $20 for mowing a lawn, the tip for watching someone's dog, and insisted on its percentage. They didn't just tax your wages, they taxed your neighborliness. If you still believe your home is your castle, that the 4 walls around you represent a private space the system cannot penetrate, the next entries are going to fundamentally change that belief. The Trojan horse isn't at the gate. It's already in your living room. You bought it yourself. It's probably plugged in right now. Number 7. The silent home is dead. There was a time when an American home was acoustically sovereign. Your television showed you pictures. Your refrigerator kept your food cold. The conversation you had with your wife at the kitchen table at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night dissolved into the air and was gone forever. What happened inside your home was yours, completely, permanently, legally yours, and no technology existed to capture it. Then we bought the smart home. Amazon Echo and Google Nest sit in tens of millions of American living rooms, bedrooms, and kitchens, always on, always listening for a wake word that may or may not be the only thing they actually capture. Internal Amazon documents have confirmed that recordings are reviewed by human contractors. The devices are designed to be listening. That's not a bug. That's the product. Smart TVs, virtually every television sold in the last decade, use a technology called automatic content recognition to monitor what you're watching in real time and send that data back to the manufacturer's servers. Roomba robot vacuums have been found to generate detailed spatial maps of your home's interior, data that iRobot has acknowledged may be shared with third parties. We purchased surveillance equipment. We brought it home. We plugged it in. We paid the subscription fee, and we called it a smart home. The only smart part of this arrangement is the business model. Number 6. The Ring Panopticon. Not long ago, the only eyes on your street were human ones. If no one was sitting on the porch, the block was private. A person could walk from their front door to their car without being recorded, without being watched, without generating footage that would be stored on a corporate server indefinitely. Then Amazon Ring arrived. Today, a significant percentage of homes in American suburbs have a high-definition camera with a built-in microphone mounted at eye level beside the front door. These cameras don't just record your porch. They capture the full width of the public street. Every person walking past, every car pulling through, every neighbor checking their mail. The footage is stored on Amazon servers, not yours. And here is the part that should stop every American cold. Amazon has established formal data-sharing partnerships with thousands of law enforcement agencies across the country. Police departments can request Ring footage from your neighbor's cameras, footage that may include images of you, your vehicle, and your movements through a portal that Amazon built specifically to facilitate those requests, often without a warrant. Your neighbors didn't sign up to be surveillance infrastructure. Amazon simply made them infrastructure anyway and charged them for the hardware. Number 5. The medical data market. Medical privacy was once one of the most fiercely protected boundaries in American life. Your health history lived in a thick paper file in a locked cabinet in your doctor's office. The understanding was absolute. What happened between a patient and a physician was confidential. It was a boundary even the government was expected to respect. The mass rollout of electronic health records, EHRs, digitized your most intimate information, your diagnoses, your prescriptions, your mental health history, your substance use history, your reproductive history, and consolidated it into databases that have been breached hundreds of times by hackers. The 2024 Change Healthcare breach alone exposed the medical records of a third of the American population, but the legal market for your medical data may be more damaging than the illegal one. Data brokers legally purchase de-identified medical data sets and sell them to insurance companies, employers, and pharmaceutical marketers. Research has repeatedly demonstrated that so-called anonymized medical data can be re-identified with a small number of additional data points, meaning your depression diagnosis, your cancer history, and your chronic conditions are being used by algorithms to make decisions about your insurance premiums, your loan applications, and your employment prospects. Your pain became a product, your diagnosis became a data point, and nobody asked your permission. Number 4. Digitally tagged childhood. Your childhood was free in a way that no child born in the last 15 years will ever fully experience. You walked out the door in the morning, and your parents had no precise idea where you were until the streetlights came on. That wasn't neglect. That was the deliberate architecture of a society that understood children needed to develop autonomy, judgment, and the confidence that comes from navigating the world without a parental hand on their shoulder every moment. Today's children are born with a digital leash already attached. Parents install Life 360 and similar applications to track their child's GPS location in real time, minute by minute, throughout the entire day. Apple AirTags are sewn into backpacks. School apps require parental accounts. Every extracurricular platform, every educational tool, every communication channel generates behavioral data that is retained by corporations with no obligation to ever delete it. None of this is inherently malicious on the part of the parents. It comes from love and from the entirely understandable fear generated by a media environment that systematically amplifies stories of danger. But consider the long-term architecture being built. A child raised under constant GPS monitoring, whose every communication is logged, whose every location is known to an app, learns one foundational lesson above all others. Surveillance is normal. Surveillance is care. Surveillance is what safety looks like. That child, when they become an adult, and the government asks to extend the same monitoring that their parents normalize, will they resist, or will it simply feel like home? The final 3 entries operate at a different level. Not the mechanics of surveillance, but the psychology of it. The deepest damage the digital state has done is not to your location data or your financial transactions. It's to your mind, your memory, your attention, and your ability to believe that opting out is even possible. Number 3. The right to be forgotten. Before the Internet, human memory was merciful. If you said something stupid at 22, picked a fight at a bar, or made a public fool of yourself in some spectacular way, the world moved on. People forgot. The incident faded. You grew, you changed, and the community's collective memory, imperfect and forgiving by nature, allowed you to grow with it. That mercy is gone. Every party photograph, every ill-considered social media post, every arrest report, including arrests that were never prosecuted, charges that were dropped, accusations that were false, is indexed, archived, and retrievable in seconds by anyone with a browser. The Internet does not distinguish between who you were and who you are. It has no concept of growth, of redemption, of the passage of time. People are losing jobs at 40 for jokes they posted at 18. Political candidates are destroyed by decade-old tweets written before the cultural consensus on a topic had fully formed. Employers run social media screening as a standard hiring practice. The algorithmic record judges you not as a human being capable of change, but as a fixed data profile, permanently defined by your worst moments. Every healthy society in human history has had built-in mechanisms for forgiveness and social rehabilitation. The Internet systematically dismantled those mechanisms and replaced them with permanent, searchable archives. We have not yet fully reckoned with what that means for human freedom, but we are beginning to live the consequences. Number 2, the hijacking of attention. They didn't need to put a tracking bracelet on you. They found something better. They made the bracelet so compelling that you pick it up voluntarily, first thing every morning, and don't put it down until you fall asleep. Silicon Valley companies have spent the last 2 decades hiring the world's best neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and addiction specialists, not to build products that improve your life, but to engineer compulsion. The infinite scroll was specifically designed to eliminate natural stopping points. The red notification badge exploits the same neurological pathway as a slot machine. The outrage algorithm, which promotes content that triggers anger and anxiety because those emotions generate more engagement, is not an accident. It is a deliberate feature. Former insiders at Facebook, Google, and Twitter have testified about this under oath. These systems were knowingly designed to be as difficult to disengage from as possible. What they stole is not your time, though they stole that too. What they stole is your capacity for deep focus, solitary reflection, and comfort with silence. A free person is a person who controls their own mind, who can sit alone without reaching for stimulation, who can think a thought to its conclusion without interruption, who is capable of genuine independent judgment. That capacity atrophies fast when it isn't exercised, and the entire digital attention economy is structured to make sure you never exercise it. You can't be effectively surveilled if you're paying attention, so they made sure you aren't. Number 1, the illusion of opting out. People sometimes say, if you don't like being tracked, just delete your social media, ditch the smartphone, and pay with cash. This is the most persistent and most damaging lie in the entire conversation about digital privacy, because it frames the problem as a matter of personal choice. Try to get a legitimate job without an email address. Most application systems are entirely online and require digital submission. Try to rent an apartment without a digital credit check. Try to pay for parking in most American cities without a mobile app. Many downtown meters no longer accept coins. Try to enroll your child in school without creating an account on the district's online portal. Try to access your own medical records, contest a billing error with your insurance company, or communicate with a government agency without digital engagement. The infrastructure of modern American life has been systematically rebuilt around the assumption of digital participation. It was not rebuilt this way by accident. The friction that now surrounds every attempt to live outside the system, the jobs you can't get, the apartments you can't rent, the services you can't access, is not a side effect. It is a design feature. They made participation in their surveillance architecture the price of admission to basic civic and economic life. Opting out doesn't mean privacy. It means poverty, exclusion, and functional invisibility from the systems that determine your ability to work, live, and participate in society. The cage doesn't have bars. It has terms of service, and you agreed to them. The government and the technology giants did not come to take your freedom at gunpoint. They came with a better offer. They came with convenient apps, 2-day delivery, and an endless stream of entertainment perfectly calibrated to your psychological profile. And we, all of us, in 1,000 small daily decisions, traded something sacred for something comfortable. We forgot, or were never taught, the thing that every generation of Americans before the digital age understood instinctively: a society in which every step is recorded, every transaction is logged, and every association is catalogued, is a society of subjects, not citizens. The cage being built around us is elegant. It's made of glass and broadband. It's climate-controlled, and it has good lighting. But it is still a cage. Here is your challenge for this week. Try to be a ghost, even for one day. Leave your phone at home. Walk out the door without it. Pay for your lunch with physical cash. Drive somewhere without GPS guidance. Sit in a coffee shop without opening anything on a screen. Feel what it's like when the algorithm, just for a few hours, loses track of you. That feeling? That strange, slightly disorienting, surprisingly peaceful feeling? That used to just be called Tuesday. Drop a comment below. Which of these 15 lost freedoms hits you hardest? And do you believe we can still reclaim the right to privacy in America? Or has that window already closed? Subscribe to the channel, because the first step toward freedom is understanding exactly how the lock on the door was installed and who has the key.